a world filled with sniveling snowflakes, where timeouts and safe places are abundant, where there's 37 genders to scroll through on a job application. Not that they have jobs. We're proud to be your salvation and your beacon to unabashed, in-your-face talk. This is Stars, Bars, and Cigars, the no-holds-barred conservative talk show hosted by battle-tested vets. Lock and load and get ready for an explosive journey through breaking news, the rich tapestry of constitutional history, and the pulse-pounding realities of Army and Navy life. Oh, and yeah, cigars. Stars, Bars, and Cigars. And now your hosts, Jimmy the Bull and Tig Tigger.
Hey, Patriots and Snowflakes. Tig, how are ya?
Great, Bull. How the hell are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
No skin cancer.
Tonight, we are going to talk a little bit about a bunch of things, but Painted Black is the name of the game here tonight. So we're also going to dive in a little bit of the Project 2028 and a little bit of the history of the Fed Reserve, the Federal Reserve.
Abolish the Federal Reserve.
But first, what are you smoking, Tig?
Oh yeah, Bull. I am smoking the Camacho Connecticut.
Yeah.
The famous Camacho cigar, Connecticut, with the scorpion on the label.
Nice.
I might have him upside down. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
So, anywho, here's the thing with the Camacho cigars. They did like kind of a rebranding.
Yeah.
2013, they came out with this Connecticut one that I'm smoking right now. 13 was a bad year. My daughter had cancer, liver cancer. We were stuck in the hospital for a long time that summer. And these came out. And I started smoking these when they came out, these Camachos. In fact, I bought boxes of them. And from about 2013 to 2015, I smoked the living shit out of Camacho Connecticut cigars.
Living shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So I'll read you some stuff on this one because we're going to talk about this for a bit.
All right.
This is the Camacho Connecticut Toro. It comes in, different sizes, your Robustos, your Toros, your Churchills. This one's a Toro. I'm always good. I like Toros. This is a 6x50, 50 gauge, 6-incher. It's a milder yet flavorful smoke, milder than some of the other Camachos. That's kind of the reason why they made it. The origin is Honduras. It's a Honduran binder. It has an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. It's a lighter brown. Those Connecticut wrappers are. Flavors include cedar and wood. There's some sweetness to it. There's some spice. There's some cream, leather, citrus with a smooth finish. And it was, like I said, released in 2013. It's a $10 cigar. So it's not too bad, really. When you come to premium cigars, like this one I bought for like $9.99.
Nice.
Not too bad over the years that it's held that kind of a price.
Right.
So here's the thing. Camacho somewhat famously began a rebranding campaign in the middle of 2013 when they decided to come out with this one, with an attempt to create a, quote, bad boy, tough guy image. So first was the recruitment of football legend Mike Ditka for his own line of cigars. Then it was, quote, bold boards, which included Ditka and Room 101 with Matt Bush, the Marine who has his own Room 101 line.
Matt Booth.
Yeah, Matt Booth, yeah. And the new beginning, back bold slogan. So all the cigars were rethought, whether it was a wholesale reblending to appeal more of today's smokers or simply the application of the new marketing standards. The entire brand was turned upside down, literally. um, Davidoff. This was developed after Davidoff had bought out the brand. They bought
Gotcha.
out the Davidoff, bought out the brand. So at one point, this cigar had a 90 rating. So it's no slouch of a cigar. Um, so you've got, like I said, cigar entrepreneur Matt Booth of Room 101 Cigars. He smokes them, of course. Mike Ditka, of course, smokes them. Former NBA player Chris Bosch smokes these. And Mark Wahlberg, the actor, he's been known to smoke Camachos as well. He had his own brand developed out of Camacho cigar. And the former NFL quarterback, some remember him from the 70s and 80s playing for the Eagles, Ron Jaworski also smokes these particular cigars. So actually, you could ask me in a little bit in the middle of the show how this cigar is going, Bull, but I already know how it is. Like I said, I smoked the living shit out of these things for 2 years straight,
Yeah.
13 and 15, and they are a damn good cigar, milder cigar. So for those who are just beginning smoking, smoking cigars, they're beginner smokers to the intermediate, most advanced smokers. This is a good cigar for everybody, really, and at a price for a premium cigar that is really perfect, especially for your middle class types. So, yes, excellent cigar, Camacho, the Connecticut, and you just can't beat a Camacho, folks.
Right.
Yeah, it's really a good cigar. So, what are you smoking, Bull? I sorry to get long winded there,
Yeah, no
but
problem. I
gotta
was
talk
like
about
waiting. I'm
these.
like, come on, fucker, I wanna light up.
Yeah, well,
So anyways, tonight I'm gonna be smoking a Chile by CLE, which is it's a parent company of Asylum. You remember those cigars?
I love Asylum. I love their Insidious.
Yeah, that's a great cigar. And then
Yes.
also their Asylum 13 is a really good one as well.
Bad luck number.
Yeah, I know, but they're good cigars. I mean, they use great tobacco with them. It's a Honduran company with over 100 years and basically in the same family for 3 generations. So with this little gem here, this is a 50 by 5. And it's got a Connecticut wrapper, just like yours, that nice blondish, goldy brown type wrapper. And I'm going to take off the little sleeve here so I could see the construction of this stick. It looks pretty fine to me. But the filler and the binder both are Nicaraguan.
Nicaraguan, huh?
Yep.
It's a Honduras cigar, you said, right?
It's a Honduran company.
Okay.
Yeah. So they sourced in the binder and filler.
A lot of cigars nowadays, really good cigars nowadays, are going really with hybrid. They're mixing and matching, Honduran and Nicaraguan fillers and wrappers and such. So that's why I was asking, if it was Honduran with the Nicaraguan,
Yeah, this is a really nice smelling cigar too. It's got kind of a leathery smell to it. It's very, I mean, even just drawing it in, just drawing air through the cigar, it's got a real nice, almost like a bread taste to it. Yeah, it's like a bread taste, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well,
and
bread right out of the oven, man.
Yeah. So I mean, it's almost kind of got that golden top look on it. It says you're supposed to get hints of leather, bread, earthy, like a earthiness to it, and a little bit of spice, and it's supposed to be pretty balanced from tip to toe.
I've never smoked one, so yeah, I'm learning this all new tonight. So yeah, you'll have to let me know midway through.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what,
that.
what was really interesting about this cigar, Tig, is I took my buddy Randy over to Galena, and let me chief this a little bit.
Get that baby lit up well, Bull.
Ah, shit, my thing went out. So we went over to Galena to look for a place to eat, and I'm like, you know what? Let's stop in at a cigar shop, and if there's one over here anymore.
Mhm.
And when we got over there, and we asked this dude that was walking, like, hey man, is there a cigar shop around here? And he's like, yeah, you're about 3 doors down. He goes, you should be right there. I'm like, hey, good band.
I know that cigar shop.
Yeah,
Been there.
and that cigar shop is called Nine General Cigar Company in Galena, Illinois. And the proprietor of the place is a lady. Her name is Tanette. So she's a pretty nice lady. She talked your ear off, though. And my friend Randy, he's just a big gabber. So
He's
he
a
was like
yapper.
talking to her, yapping away. Yeah. And I'm like, I just want to get a cigar and get the fuck out of here, And then, and then I'm like, would you be interested in going on our podcast? She's like, hell yeah. She goes, I don't really get into politics, but I'll talk cigars. I'm like, yeah, we could do that.
We could
So
do a whole show on cigars.
yeah,
If we
so
have the right person on there, we can do a whole show and talk all about different cigars, brands, different types, different everything.
well, she had, it was interesting, Tig, is she had a little cigar lounge in the back. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
good. It was an outside one, so we could actually probably take some laptops over and a couple cameras and set up over there. It'd be kind of nice.
Live show right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I've been at that shop, the Nine
yeah, it's
Generals.
pretty small.
It's a nice shop though, nice, friendly. I didn't know her name was Tanette. I did know that she was running it when I was there.
I got her card. That's why I know it
Yeah.
was tonight.
Okay. Cool. And and I'll tell you what. Yeah. So folks, if you're in Galena, Illinois, it is a very historical town in Illinois. Stop in at Nine Generals cigar shop. Pay a
Yeah.
visit. Buy some cigars. It is a neat little shop. If I recall, I wasn't there too long ago. Past
Yeah,
year.
it's kind of like a gentleman's boutique kind of
Yeah,
thing.
kind of a masculine looking cigar
Yeah.
shop. And once in a while, actor Harrison Ford just goes to Galena because his wife has family up in that area, the territories area, and he likes to stop into Galena and
Hey,
walk around,
just
eat dinner, and drink. And
yeah, kind of talking about a little thing here. Today I was talking to Randy, and he was telling me about Field of Dreams is going to have like a all-star game or something like that, or
they always
music
do.
fest or something like that.
They do every year. I think now they have a professional baseball game usually out there too.
Yeah, so that's really cool too. I mean, that'd be something, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out
You got
there.
to get
But
tickets early, man. That shit sells out right away.
I know, like $500 a ticket.
Yeah, especially if it's like the Cubs, like it was, I think last year, the Cubs and the Reds or something like that. That's
A couple of years ago, I think the first year that they did that,
it's like
they had
sold
the
out right away.
Yankees. Yeah, they had the Yankees there. It was like, wow, that's fucking cool, man.
I think they had the first year they had out there, they had the White Sox and the Yankees, I believe, because the White Sox, the Field of Dreams movie was based on Shoeless Joe and I think the White Sox of that era,
right?
Back then in that era.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, that they built that whole town is built around the Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
That town of Dyersville, Iowa.
Right.
So, but we went from Galena, Illinois now to Dyersville, Iowa.
Yeah, to Dyersville.
All these touristy areas.
Yeah.
But
let me finish up with CLE here, which it's actually CLE is actually the owner's name, initials basically. It's Christian Lewis Eora. Is his last name. I hope I didn't butcher that, but like I said, he does like the Asylum cigars and a bunch of other brands too. So yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, Nine General Cigar Company out of Galena, Illinois. If you guys if anybody's in the area, stop in and tell her that you heard about her shop on Stars Bars and Cigars.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt.
So Tig, tonight we're gonna talk about Paint It Black.
Oh, yes. I see a border wall and I want to paint it black. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about that because some people are crying about it, man.
They're fucking pissed about it, you know.
Mainly
It's like,
Democrats, some Republicans. Okay. And, that wasn't my best way of singing that. I took a big shot of a cigar there and I couldn't get out the words
it's
very well,
timing.
but fuck it. Anyway, all right. I did a better one on the promo.
Yeah.
Anyway, so anyway, the black wall, painting it black. So why are they complaining? Well, because they say it costs too much. Well, let me tell you this. 4 years of bringing illegal criminals in this country, giving them Social Security, food stamps, free housing, free medical, and all that. And for them to actually not only commit crimes in the United States and kill people and push drugs and sex trafficking and whatever the hell else they did, set up terrorist networks. Okay. And we flew them in and we gave them everything. So you want to talk, especially the Democrats, you want to talk about painting the wall, the border wall black being expensive? Are you kidding me? All the years of bringing those illegals in costed us billions. Okay. That's where the real waste is. And the thing is, they want to paint the wall black because it then takes heat. It gets extremely hot. So nobody will want to climb it with their hands. Also, the black paint happens to also help the metal components of the wall and prevent rust. I think they should probably paint it with a black primer, which would be really good. But to me, the thing is so what? Paint it black. Paint the whole damn wall black. And then also paint a big giant middle finger and say, hey, you're not welcome anymore. Yeah. So don't bother. All right. Enough is enough of these illegals. They should quit complaining about the expense of it when they would know everything about wasteful spending over the last 4 years. Period.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest thing is that black paint that they're using is a rust inhibitor. So it's actually, it's stopping the rust from, doing any more damage than what, the rust is already doing.
We could have had that all done 4 years ago had they not just totally rigged an election and,
right.
And then decided they were going to bring in all these problematics. We created a problem essentially,
Exactly.
And by doing so, they spent tons and tons of money on these illegals. So they shouldn't even talk about wasteful spending right now at this point.
Right.
So
Tig, tonight, today actually, I kind of rearranged my computer desk so I could actually look at my camera directly, if I wanted to. And, if I happen to look over this way, I'm looking at my computer screen because it's like a 27-inch monitor. So it's like super huge. So I'm just kind of explaining a little bit because, it's always like I'm kind of looking this way or, looking that way. And my microphone's right here. So, but yeah, so I'm just kind of explaining a little bit of that for everybody. And
well, besides, you don't want to see my ugly scab on my face anyway. So you might as well just look at your computer and avoid it all together. For those,
your face.
Yeah, for those that didn't notice from the last podcast, I had a very rapidly growing mole on my face, and it had grown over the course of the year. But over the course of the last couple months, it had changed size, and then within a couple days' time, not only did it change texture and size, but color as well. So I thought, oh, geez, this is cancerous, right? I had already set up an appointment anyway to get it checked out, removed, and biopsied. But, the last couple days before that appointment, it was kind of scary. It's kind of creepy because it's like, oh my God, this thing's really changing fast. This has definitely got to be melanoma. And then I, in the middle of the week, I got an early call back saying it was benign. So No skin cancer there. Just a big ass scar that's going to develop after this big ass, ugly, ugly scab, which I don't care about looks and I didn't care that it was going to scar. I told her, cut it deep, far, and wide because I don't want, if it's skin cancer, I want it gone, you know?
Right.
So that's where we're at with that. So turn away. Don't look at my ugly face, bull. I told my wife, Michelle, I said, maybe when they get done with me, I'm going to end up having to be like the Phantom of the Opera and have to have a half mask,
Right.
So cover up the
Yeah.
ugly.
So, all right. Moving along here to Project 2028. That's a shit show.
It sure is. Let's go over the list of, the agenda, the plan that the Democrats want to have by 2028, because I'll tell you what, it kind of falls in line with an end game that kind of is an NWO end game. And, I could talk a little bit about that end game too, because the end game, the ETA of the end game for the New World Order agenda, they called it Agenda 2030. It was 2021. Now it's 2030, but their ETA estimate time to get this agenda done, is 2028, which just happens to be the Democrats' Project 2028 also. Funny how that works. So let's go down the Democrats' Project 2028 list, shall we? All right. First, overturn Citizens United. Why? Because the Citizens United is constitutional and they stand for freedom and they're anti-communist, like you Democrats are, radical.
Right.
Turned into, you want to radically change this country into a communist country. Yeah. Okay. You can just scratch that idea right now. The second one, they want to codify women's right to abortion. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, you want to kill children.
Well, you know what it is? They just want to create division.
Well, yeah. And women's right to abortion falls right in line with the agenda to depopulate too.
Right.
Works real well with the globalist agenda to depopulate. Term limits for the Supreme Court of the United States. They want term limits for them. Well, what they want to do is they want term limits so that they can try to get in their people, because they want to expand the Supreme Court as well, because they want to radically change the Supreme Court in the favor of their far right or far left radical communist agenda.
Right.
So naturally, and if you go to every communist party, like the CCP and the Soviet Union, what do they always have in their communist party? They have a huge board. They have a huge membership, sort of like what they want our Supreme Court to be, where they all just basically have this whole sit down and decide for everybody what they're going to do, what the rule of law is going to be. All right. Yeah, we see that. So there again, radicalism. They want to get rid of the Electoral College, but funny, they seem to like the Electoral College when it worked for them. That's funny.
Yeah, well, they want to go to popular vote because they know they can cheat.
Well, and because, the biggest amount of population of Democrats lie in these big cities like Los Angeles, New York City, Chicago, and those few cities could decide the whole entire election. And that's what they want to do.
Right. Well, if they do get rid of the Electoral College, then we can get rid of half the Senate and, we could actually, downsize the government and then, they wouldn't have all the seats. There wouldn't be no such thing as a seat at that point.
So why don't we shrink the House then as well?
Exactly.
If we're going to do that. So, but you see, the Democrats, they loved the Electoral College until it stopped working for them.
Right.
That's the way that always goes, So, it's just, they want everything for themselves, and then if it stops working, we got to change it, to meet their needs, their wants, So
Right.
just like they want to outlaw gerrymandering nationwide. Well, they used to love gerrymandering. They used to
Yeah.
love district changing to
To
suit their
suit their
own
needs.
needs. Yeah, but now they want to outlaw it because oh my gosh, and now they're complaining because the Republicans are redistricting. Well, turnabout's fair play, isn't it? Really? I mean, come on. So what
Well,
else?
the biggest thing is they got to get somebody worth the while in there instead of all these like fucking people who can't even talk right, and people who really don't have a track record with anything. So it's like,
Yeah.
you get garbage and you can't really vote for garbage.
Yeah. Well, Democrats.
I mean, look at Kamala. She could barely speak a
Oh
sentence.
gosh, I think that was done on purpose. Sometimes I just think
Oh, it had to be.
they
But
they
Biden was
tanked it.
fucking shot anyways. He's dead man walking.
They tanked that election. I don't know why, but they did. Well, I do know why, but that's
Yeah.
another thing. They want to return fairness and the doctrine in media. Fairness doctrine in media.
Well, Trump's
Really?
kind of cleaning it up anyways right now.
It's fake news. We need to clean up media completely.
Definitely.
Fairness? What are you talking about? Fairness? What? Oh, I see. Fairness because you enjoy the media having a whole monopoly over just favoring the left. That's it. I
Right.
get it now. That's the whole thing right there. Universal health care for all. Oh, let's talk about universal health care for all. First of all, healthcare is not a right in the Constitution.
Right.
Second of all, universal health care. Socialized medicine, where you have to wait forever to see a doctor, and then you don't get to see the doctor of your choice, and then they can force a practice on you that you might not want. You don't have an alternative choice of what kind of medical practice you want performed on yourself, or alternative medicine as well. Then on top of it, that will destroy the economy in a country as big as the United States.
Yeah.
Another thing, socialized medicine. Another thing, universal. Okay, we dealt with Obamacare. And remember what happened? Okay, universal health care for all. Does that mean everybody gets it free and does not have to pay a premium? Because that will totally destroy the whole U.S. economy. And the thing about it is we had that Obamacare we were forced into. The first year you paid a premium. The second year your premium tripled, not doubled, tripled. I experienced that myself. So they could take that. We do need to fix the healthcare system. Granted, I agree we need to fix it somehow. Universal healthcare is not the answer. Actually, affordable healthcare is the answer, and getting healthcare companies to compete with one another for the best package deal for each individual, their income and their family income, household wise. That's the better way to do it.
Right.
A fair competitive marketing when it comes to health insurance. So they want to ban stock trading while in Congress. Your Nancy Pelosi seemed to get away with that pretty well too. What are you talking about there?
Yeah, she was like worth what, 200 and something $million now off of a 6-figure income from there.
These Democrats are such hypocrites.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I kind of agree with that one. I think they should abolish it. Period.
They should, but all of a sudden now it's something bad, but you let your own get away with it. Oh my. Cap Congress salary 1.5 times the median income. Well, I agree with that. We should not only cap their Congress salary, but in fact, don't give them a raise ever, because they don't need a raise. In fact, they're making too much as it is. Right. And if you ask me, we need to cut the number of seats. That would save American taxpayer dollars a lot, because we don't need as many people as we have in Congress right now. They get nothing done. Right. They absolutely get nothing done. They cause the problems, but they don't ever have a solution.
Well, really. And a lot of them, they could actually get $0 and still be millionaires. I know I saw that ash you had on that fucking cigar today that you sent me a picture of. I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can beat that.
That was the acid. That was the
20.
acid 20. Man, that's a great smoke. That's a great smoke. I had that, I think, last year on this program. I think I might have to do one again on this program sometimes. A wonderful cigar. One of my
Yeah,
favorites.
I actually smoked one of those too on the program. It was pretty
Yeah.
good.
That's a Drew Estate. One of my
Yep.
favorites. Yeah. So getting back to their little list, their Project 2028, huh? Tax billionaires out of existence. Well, a lot of those billionaires create all those jobs that people need, right?
Yeah.
Tax unrealized gains. Here's that tax again. Tax unrealized gains used as loan collateral. Folks, taxation is theft. They passed a law, and this goes back to the IRS that we're going to talk about. But anyway, it's always this tax deal, tax and spend. Here we go again with the tax. Tax mega churches. Well, some of those mega churches, well, I don't know. They should not be exempt. I get it.
Yeah.
But then again, I think we need to abolish taxation, really. So anyway, then finally on their list is increase. These Democrats don't know nothing about economics 101. They want to increase the federal minimum wage to $20 an hour. Okay, that would destroy small business, folks. Okay, first of all, businesses cannot afford $20 an hour. $20 an hour means they can't hardly hire anybody. Okay, even the big businesses, they would actually have to cut the amount of people they hire. So there goes the jobs that they create. Now they can't create the jobs because they're spending way too much on people's wages. And another thing too is when you increase the minimum wage to like $20 an hour, then those businesses have no incentives not only to hire people, but now they're forced, because they're paying that much more per hour for their
Wages.
staff and wages. Now the consumer goods and consumer services, they're forced to raise the cost of those. So there goes any of your services, like if you got an auto mechanic, or if you've got consumer goods, like you're buying product that they are like a clothing store or whatever it may be, for example. Now they're forced, because they're paying so much in wages. Now it's costing them more in wages. So now, in order to compensate, they got to raise the cost of their goods. So that does not hurt. That does not help the consumer. That raises it. That raises the cost of everything. So what good does it do to raise the wages when they escalate the cost of living? Okay,
Right.
because of that. It's bad economics. If you keep the minimum wage down, minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. This is for students, part-time jobs that people want extra cash. Okay, it's not a job where you make a living off. Those jobs where you make a living are already up to like $20-$25 an hour or more.
Hey, speaking of those companies, what do you think about that fucking Cracker Barrel debacle?
Go woke, you go broke.
Go woke, go broke.
And you know what? Cracker Barrel's already losing money because of it, because people are like, you know what? You're a joke.
You know what?
When they tried to do that thing with Bud Light, remember,
Yep.
with the guy that was trying to be a girl, Dylan, or whatever his name was.
Mulvaney, yeah.
They lost their ass like within the first couple weeks, man. That's
Well, did
bad
you see
business.
the stock prices of Cracker Barrel just fucking
Oh yeah.
tanked?
That's bad business. See, this is what happens when you go woke, folks, when you try to be political, when you try to force your ideology down people's throats.
Yeah, and she wants to fucking institute DEI bullshit. And you know what? This fucking
She's gonna get fired.
She needs to be fired, period.
Well, if
I was a shareholder of that company,
oh my God, they're gonna
be
lose.
so fucking pissed right now. I'd be up their fucking ass.
They're gonna lose so much money that they're gonna fire her, because she's literally overnight costing them a ton. Okay, when you get a CEO, you want that CEO to make you money, not lose it.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with these people, you know?
Bye, bitch.
Yeah.
You're gone.
You know what? The company
gone.
deserves it, but the people don't.
No, they
The
don't.
employees don't.
And
You know, they're just fucking playing politics with the employees and you know their
ridiculous.
livelihoods. That pisses me off more than anything.
Stop. And you know what? The same goes for the NFL. All right. A lot of people started boycotting them when they started taking a knee in the national anthem. Now they're bringing these queer leaders into the cheerleader zone. Guys watch football. When they see cheerleaders, they want to see good-looking female cheerleaders. They don't want to see some fag boy running out there in the middle of the field dancing like a little girl. All right.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a team called the Vikings. That's supposed to be a tough name with a tough logo. And now you got these queers running out there making your team look like a bunch of sissies.
Now they're called the Vike Queens.
Vike Queens. Oh my gosh. Go. You know what? NFL's going to lose money. I think the Vike Queens are going to lose money this year just because they decided that they had to go DEI and they had to go woke and decide they're going to have these.
You know, I love Minnesota. I
queers
don't
on
get me
their
wrong.
cheerleading.
I fucking hate their fucking people who run the place. They need to get rid of all the fucking Somalians. They need to get rid of Tim Walls. They need to put his ass in prison.
He's an idiot.
Actually, they need to fucking rope and tree his ass. He's a fucking traitor.
Yeah. Well, and you know, speaking of football, the Detroit Lions female owner, I don't know what her name is, Ford or whatever. She's refusing to give into that Pride Day crap and that Pride stuff.
Good for her, man.
Yeah, it's like enough is enough. This is football. This is football. This isn't politics, ideologies, all that crap. Leave that shit at home. This is America's pastime. I don't personally like pro football anymore. I think it's rigged. I think it's become a joke with the rules and all that stuff and the referees controlling the game. But, you know, it's still, people love it and it's an American thing. And, you know, whether I think it's a distraction and rigged and all that is beside the point. It's the fact they're ruining the game and they keep doing it with this politics crap.
Yeah.
You know, this ideology crap. All right.
You know, I thought with Trump moving into the Oval Office, I thought we'd be getting rid of this shit, but it's still they're trying to ram it down our throats even more, you know.
NFL's a corporation, and look who's running the corporation.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost my ash. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I've been being
I had a streak.
I
had a streak. Oh my God, that was almost 2 inches on there.
Yeah, I got about a good inch on mine here, so I got a little ways to go.
No man's ever happy about having 2 inches, but you know,
not even 1 inch
on the ash. That shows how good the cigar burns.
Yeah,
how even it burns and how well it burns. That's a Camacho, man.
So Tig, how is that Camacho?
It's a good cigar. It's a good cigar. Pretty mild. I mean, I slightly like a little more bold of a flavor, but I like its consistency. I do get like the woody, earthy, smooth type of taste to it. And it stays consistent. I'm, getting down there. Trouble with these is they got a big label on them. So I'm always having to push the label up somehow, or sometimes I even have to rip the label off. But, it's a good solid cigar. It always is for $10. It's a great $10 cigar. In fact, it's better than some of your $15 cigars. It's, Camacho has a whole bunch of different flavors. So, this is their milder one, but they got Nicaraguan one and they got an Ecuadorian one, and they got some really, really sound, good tasting cigars. So I really highly recommend a Camacho. And this one's really good for all types of smokers, from beginner, intermediate to your aficionados. So
right.
How's yours doing?
It's doing pretty good. It's kind of like too light for my liking, I kind of like a little more bolder, more, maybe a fuller bodied cigar. This is a mild to medium bodied cigar. Nothing wrong with it. I think it's a good cigar for maybe somebody who's maybe smoked for about a year or so, and then is taking a step to try to get into the more fuller bodied smokes and such. This would be a good cigar to kind of get you into that that category of cigars. CLE, Not a bad cigar. It's got some good flavors that I'm tasting, but again, it's just not bold enough for me.
Yeah. Well,
And I do like the darker wrapper cigars as well.
I like
So
Maduro
yeah,
wrappers. Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
So yeah, the Maduro. I even like the what do you call it? Cordial or whatever.
Cordial, yeah.
Cordial, yeah, Cordial, or however else they pronounce it in Spanish.
Cordial.
Cordial. Ah,
Cordial.
yeah. You know, but I like the darker wrappers too. So yeah.
All right. Well, was there any more on that? I think we kind of got through that list.
Yeah.
Do you want to run into let's talk a little bit of the history of the Federal Reserve. Now, we did have a video, but I couldn't get the the voice to come through. So
That's a shame too, because
yeah, that was a really good video. I mean, I
Oh, yeah.
did watch it when you sent it to me. I watched it and listened to it on my phone, but when I transferred it from my phone to, the email, I lost the audio clip on it. So
Yeah. Well, what we're going to do now is talk about, and I wrote up a whole thing on this, folks. So the reason why I didn't want to miss any information, so forgive me if normally I talk off the cuff, but if I read, I'm literally reading stuff because this is good information that needs to be given. It's a history of the Federal Reserve, a century of enslavement. Okay. Yeah, taxation's theft. 1913. Let's start with 1913. And anybody wants to chime in, they can chime in on the chat page on this. Okay.
yeah,
I forgot to say that earlier. 1913. What a hell of a year. The Federal Reserve is created. IRS becomes law. Rockefeller Foundation is formed. American Cancer Society is founded. ADL, Anti-Defamation League, is launched. J.P. Morgan partner Paul Warburg, the Rothschild agent, installs the central banking system. Income tax is legalized. All this stuff being done under secret, without giving the information out to the American public, without any transparency, doing it without their consent or knowledge, which is unconstitutional.
right.
And
So they pulled a fast one over America, Americans,
and to this
just for their
day,
benefit of putting us enslavement, as
and
debt
to this
slaves.
day, that's where we're at. Okay, and also private money enters public government. Imagine that, privatizing private people, private NGOs sticking their money into our government, right, to influence. 1914, World War I begins. This wasn't a coincidence. This was construction, banking, health, media, taxation, identity, war, all rooted in one silent year's time. A hostile reset in a tailored suit. So the Federal Reserve is America's fourth central bank, actually. The third central bank was stopped by President Jackson, who vetoed it. He vetoed its renewal. And this is what he said. I quote this is a quote from Jackson now, President Jackson. America must take a stand against all new grants of monopolies and exclusive privileges, against any prostitution of our government to the advancement of the few at the expense of the many. Well put.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve Act emerged from secret meeting on Jekyll Island in 1910, actually. The meeting included members of America's most powerful banking interests and served as the basis for the central bank that exists today. The Federal Reserve was created to bring stability to the banking system, but was admittedly the cause of the Great Depression and widely acknowledged as the cause of last decade's housing bubble. A 2011 Government Accountability Office report found that Federal Reserve board members issued $4 trillion in bailouts to their own banks during the financial crisis, in direct violation of conflict interest regulations. Them bunch of corrupt, nasty
Yeah.
motherfuckers, you know. So the Federal Reserve System considers itself, the Federal Reserve System, listen to this, the Federal Reserve System considers itself, quote, independent entity within government, all right, whose actions are not accountable to any Congress or president. There lies the problem. This is why actually JFK, President John F. Kennedy, was
Right.
killed. You know, one of the reasons, besides going up against the secret societies and stuff, but mainly the bankers and the IRS and the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve banks are one of the most corrupt institutions. This is a quote, by the way. I want to give you this. I'm going to say what I'm going to do here is a quote. I will say it's a quote from a congressman, and I'm going to list his name and everything else after this quote. This is a quote. The Federal Reserve banks are one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever seen. There is not a man within the sound of my voice who does not know that this nation is run by the international bankers. Every effort has been made by the Federal Reserve Board to conceal its powers. But the truth is, the Fed has usurped the government. It controls everything here in Congress, is what he meant. And it controls all our foreign relations, Israel. It makes and breaks governments at will. It makes and breaks governments, plural, governments at will. This was a quote from Congressman Louis T. McFadden. Having survived 2 prior assassination attempts, he died on October 1st of 1936 at the age of 60 under suspicious circumstances. Imagine that. When he went public by saying that. Okay, so moving along, what we're going to talk about here is, we've already said this, right? All this stuff was done. All it was done was basically in secret. Congress, they passed this all. Woodrow Wilson sold us out to he was the president at the time. He sold us out to the Federal Reserve Act. Sold us out to the bankers, the international bankers. I don't want to get into, I've been doing enough about Israel, but the Zionists control a lot of the international banking system, by the way, and they control much of the governments, and that's why we waste so much money a year on them. But anyway, and they've bought and paid for all our politicians, all the government's politicians. That's why we've got so many problems in the world we do today. And they're making money off of keeping us debt slaves. Okay. They did this all in secretive. They passed this without the knowledge or consent of the American people. That is highly unconstitutional. Taxation is theft. Taxation without representation is unconstitutional. All right. So this is why we really do need to end the Fed. Okay. But every time someone decides they're going to do that, they're threatened, they're blackmailed, or they basically, if they're going to blow the whistle or they're going to try to start this, they're basically offed, like John F. Kennedy was. This is a big problem we have in this country. We need to go back to the standard, the American currency system that we had before the Federal Reserve took over. Okay, back when it said United States currency on the dollar bill instead of Federal Reserve note, you know. So this is a big problem we have in this country, and it always will. And they're using monopoly money, and they might as well be using monopoly money. It's all fake. Sooner or later, this economy is going to tank, and that's what they're trying to do, because now they want to control the system. They want to take it a step further, and they want to create the social credit score, the digital ID, control the currency, control how we spend, cut us off whenever they want to. That's a whole system in itself, a whole topic in itself that we can branch off this. But the fact is, the IRS is corrupt. They're a bunch of government thugs threatening people, threatening to imprison people, when actually what they're doing is corrupt. What they're doing is theft. What they're doing is illegal. And what they've been doing is unconstitutional. And we, the people, have been letting them get away with it, ripping us off. Right. And the Federal Reserve is nothing but an international bank of thugs of thieves, of corruption, buying and selling and paying off uh, all the politicians of the world. And this is criminal, folks. And if any of you were not aware of it before, you're aware of it now.
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to take note on, because next month, September 1st, is a lot of people's property taxes are due. So why should we have to pay for property tax on something we own, a house? Well, they created a loophole that basically said that when you buy your home, when you own your home, if you don't have a special sales that says that not only are you buying this home, but you're also buying not the deed to the home, but you're not buying the deed to the land as well. You're buying the land. See, then you have to still pay taxes, because technically you don't own the land, you just own the home. Okay, that's the loophole they're getting through. The problem with this is first of all, is one thing is people have never been told this. They've never been transparent. So this has not been, we've not consented to this kind of taxation. And we've wondered why do we have to pay on something we own? And what's worse yet, folks, is every time they want to raise your property tax on the property that I guess you don't own that you thought you did, because you do own the home itself that's on the property. Every time they want to raise your property tax, they can do it by reassessing your home.
Right.
When they reassess it, your home might not be worth squat. You may have not done a single new thing to your home, but they can up and assess it and say, oh, well, the home is worth much more than it was a year ago or 2 years
Right.
ago. So, wow, because they reassessed it and because your house is worth more, now they can raise your taxes. They're thieves. They're stealing from you. Taxation is theft. All right. So
And
that's
this is getting old. This is getting so fucking old. We're just being taxed to death. And we're pretty much the only country that pays to live.
Well, England.
Yeah, I mean,
of course, that's another story too about why are we still answering to the crown?
Yeah,
look that up, folks. Why do we still answer to?
I think once
England?
DC goes away,
that's historical, by the way, folks.
District of America, then I think that might change. But I don't even know if that's even on the table.
Well, the IRS is one of those 3-letter agencies that must go, must be abolished, and we need to do away with taxes. In fact, that's part of the news that Marjorie Taylor Greene, my absolute favorite congresswoman of all time,
because she had to run for president.
She's the only one in Congress with a pair of balls, and she's a female. She's the only one that says it like it is. She's the only one looking out for the American people and the Constitution, really, and for all these lib turds that hate her so much, and some of the rhinos. You know what? You're brain warped. Okay, you don't even understand what's going on. Then, she's calling on the abolishment of property taxes. I'm all for that, of course, and many of you out there are for that. And she wants to reform health insurance. Well, yeah, because health insurance, she says, is way unaffordable for the average American worker, American family. Yeah. So she just wants to reform health insurance. She doesn't want to make it where it's the law. You have to buy it, as much as she's making it so that they're not taking advantage of the people, and that people can actually compete and shop around and buy an insurance package that's going to be affordable for them with good coverage. So I'm all for these things. And, I think the Democrats are going to hate her for that reform health insurance, because they wanted to be the ones to do that. And instead they want to force people to buy health insurance, which is a no-no, which was, to me, unconstitutional in Obamacare. You shouldn't have to, there should not be a law that forces you to buy insurance. Right. Okay. I mean, I get it. Okay. A lot of people were, with auto insurance, they forced that. They made that a law because people were getting away with smashing up people's vehicles in an accident and hurting them and even death. And they didn't have to pay for anything because they didn't have the money. Well, okay, there's a simple solution. it should be an option to buy insurance. And all of a sudden, if something happens and you can't afford to pay the bill, well, then that's where the law comes in, and that's where you get yourself in a little bit of trouble.
Right.
That should be prior knowledge. But the thing is to force that onto people is crazy. I mean, it used to be if you didn't have insurance, you just paid out of pocket. And if it took you forever to make payments, so be it. You took out a loan or whatever you had to do to pay off your medical bills, you know. But I don't know. The fact of the matter is, yes, health. I don't care what they do, but I would agree that health insurance does need to be reformed. Healthcare in the United States does need to be reformed, not socialized, just reformed in some way or fashion. But I'm all for killing property tax. Property tax should be abolished. It's nonsense. It's total nonsense. Hey, how about this? If that's the case, then all of us, if they're going to say, well, okay, well, that's because you don't own your property. You just own your home, and we can force you to pay property tax because you don't own the property. You just own the home. Okay, how about this? How about you let us all take out a new loan so that we can buy out our property then? If we don't own our property, how about we have the option? If we want to stop paying property tax, give us the opportunity to take out with a bank a loan to pay for and buy out our property so we don't have to.
Yeah, the only problem with that though, Tig, is they could say, well, your house is only worth 300,000. Your house is worth 300,000. Your property is going to be worth 300,000. So, I mean, it's basically going to stick you twice.
Okay, but look at it this way. Right now, you have a market value of what land per acre costs.
Right.
Okay. Now, last I checked, in our state, I seen a piece of land that they were charging something like 80 grand for 1 acre of land. Okay. Like if you're me and you have, not even quite a half an acre of land. Okay. So what are you going to, then you got to have it at market value. So if I have a half an acre of land, I should be able to pay $40,000 for it and own it. Simple. Right. You should be able to buy your property at market value per what it costs per acre. Then they can't tell you, your house is worth $300,000, so you've got to pay $300,000 for the land. No, because land isn't land isn't worth $300,000 an acre, depending on where you live.
Right.
Okay. Where I live, my piece of land shouldn't even cost me a dime more than 40 grand. And even 40 grand would be a little high.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So, okay, if you don't abolish property taxes, give us the opportunity to buy off our property so that we don't have to pay those taxes.
Exactly.
And
the biggest thing is the property tax on $30,000 or $40,000 is a hell of a lot less than $300,000.
No shit.
Yeah.
And for what we're paying in property taxes every stinking year, if we could buy off our land and not have to pay for that property tax, it'd pay for itself. And what we've been paying for that damn property tax every year,
right?
It's a ripoff. They're robbing us every fucking year.
Yep. Well, that's that needs to be addressed.
Folks, for example, if you pay $3,500 a year in property tax, first of all, I don't know that that's the average. That might be lower than the average. Think about if you saved that $3,500 each year, think about how you could reinvest that in your home and in your property. Absolutely. I mean,
that's a no-brainer. This is why
property tax is such a fucking ripoff. You're better off being able to buy off that land then. If that's their argument, that you own your home, but we can tax you on your property because you don't own the property, you just own the home. Okay, let me buy the property at market value then.
Yep.
Let me do that then, and no more taxing me.
Right.
Them assholes. Because I'll tell you what, man, that's not the way it used to be before the Federal Reserve took over and everything. And before, 1913, when they made the law of property, or not property, but tax in general. Okay. So I see one day an uprising, and I see that socially, economically, I see the United States no longer being a superpower, but collapsing like ancient Rome did. And I see us going back to, the United States of the Old West. basically. But I'll tell you what, in the old West, people took care of themselves, people bartered, people had their own, we had our own currency, and we had our own land. You owned your land. You didn't pay tax on it.
Right.
You know, it was yours.
In fact, the United States gave people land.
Yeah, they did at one point. So we need to go back to some older times, and we need to abolish property taxes. And like I said, if they have such an argument, then everybody ought to have the opportunity to buy off their land at market price so that they don't have to ever pay property tax again. Now, if somebody can't afford to buy off their land at market value, or the banks won't give them a loan, well, okay, I guess then they're going to have to pay taxes. But for those who could buy off their land and not have to pay taxes, they should be allowed to do so. That should be the option.
Right. So let's move on into trending news. We're rounding out the hour here, so let's go a little bit of trending. I mean, that was kind of a little bit of trending news to start with. So let's continue with a couple more, and then we can.
Let's do one that hits home with you, Mr. Truck Driver.
Yeah.
The illegal immigrant truck driver accused of killing 3 people in a Florida highway collision failed English and road sign tests, but still got a CDL license from sanctuary states like California and Washington. Take it, Bull.
So, this fucker here,
it's not funny.
Where do you start? He collapsed the bridge is one thing he did. It was a 6-ton bridge. He drove his semi-truck and trailer right across it and fucking right into the fucking river. That's one. And then he was in a truck, or he may have been the driver. They were not really quite sure or clear on this, but where 2 people got killed before this. And now he pulls this U-turn on the Florida highway interstate and kills 3 more people.
Man, illegals.
If you can't read the fucking signs, you do not need to be driving a commercial vehicle. And if you can't speak English proficiently in our language so we can understand you, you do not have the right to have a CDL. And in fact, that's a law. Why is California and Washington State giving these fuckers a CDL license?
Hey, for these murders, why don't they do what they want to charge everybody else with for stuff like that? Charge them for terrorism. Seems to me he looks like one of those radical terrorists anyway. Yeah. Wow, why not charge him with terrorism?
Well, I think they really need to deport his ass back over to Florida and let Ron DeSantis put him in the fucking chair and fry his ass.
Yeah, he murdered people in Florida with vehicular homicide.
And they have death penalty there in Florida.
Yes,
so
yes.
Let justice prevail. So.
Hey, if you're illegal and you're the cause of some deaths in a state that has the death penalty, then I absolutely believe you should fry, because you don't belong here in the first place.
What other trending news you got?
All right. Well, Ghislaine Maxwell told the DOJ that there is no Epstein client list. Jeez. Yeah, right.
What's really funny that you brought that up is that late Virginia Gulfey, the one that was
or
on
something
the
like that.
Epstein. She was a victim.
Yeah.
And she supposedly just died.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. Well, guess what's coming out in October is her memoirs. And she is going to be naming names.
They ought to publicize that completely.
And I also heard that when they took Jizzy down to Texas, that was a low, what they call a low, low security prison or camp or whatnot. And they can actually walk off this fucking place and she could do whatever she wants. And there's no she doesn't have to report and shit. So I think that's probably may have been like their plea, to get her out. And
I do believe in the Epstein list. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had a fucking motorcycle drive by and he was like revving it up really loud. I can
wow.
still hear it, but
I believe that the Epstein list exists, and I believe that a lot of prominent figures, very wealthy elitists from Hollywood, I believe that a lot of Zionists too, and people that can buy and sell politicians and threaten them and blackmail them and have them killed. I believe they're all on that list. I believe there's some royalty that was on that list, and I believe those poor kids need justice because I know for a fact that they are all guilty and there is a huge list out there. I know for a fact. All right. We've
yeah, I
seen it.
totally agree with you there.
Yeah. And this isn't just the Democrats crying for the Epstein list. This is a lot of conservatives too. All right. And what are we afraid of here, folks? What are we afraid of? What are these politicians? What is this current administration afraid of? What is Pam Bondi afraid of? Okay. Um, we need to get it out there. Okay, if there's nothing to hide, then why aren't we putting it forward? Because I know that list exists. I don't care what she did. She lied. She purged. She took a plea deal. But I'll tell you what, that list exists. They can't tell us that it doesn't. Pam Bondi came out and said she had the files.
Yeah, I'm afraid that there's a lot of fucking highfalutin people on there, and it's just not going to see the light of day.
And those kids get no justice.
None. All right. Well, I kind of beat that one up a little bit, and it's kind of a shitty story all around. But you know what? We shouldn't let it lay either.
Yeah, we shouldn't let things just get shoved under the carpet like DC is really good at doing.
Yeah.
So people need to start taking a stand on stuff. I mean, if it comes down to conservatives and liberals being united on one thing and it's the Epstein list, well, great. At least we're united on something, because this country is far too divided, and we will fall when we are divided, and we've been divided for far too long. Maybe this is what the country needs to get united on, is something like this to at least give justice to the children of the past that have been violated and killed and trafficked and all that, and the ones that could happen in the future.
Right.
We need to protect.
I think we hit pretty much on like three good things. We hit on the taxation, we hit on the Epstein list, and then we hit on the what was the other thing? Oh, the list there, the 2028.
Project 2028, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's a lot of things that people could actually get behind, and I don't know, man. It's just, what is it going to take? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody out there loves children, I think. Well, some don't, but obviously these monsters don't. They want to live off the children's blood, and that's a real thing, folks. And so here's the thing, though: the common people that hate pedophiles, that hate child traffickers, both on the left and the right, need to get together, unite behind this, and say, we demand answers. We demand that list. We demand indictments. We demand trials.
Yeah, but the bad thing is, like with Bondi, she's fucking weak, and Trump's standing behind her. Like,
she's not weak, she's corrupt, and I said that from the get-go, folks. You go back to Florida when she tried to issue anti-Second Amendment red flag laws. All right, she's corrupt. She is another Bill Barr, if you ask me. Yep. And if you disagree with me, go back and look at her record in Florida. Go back and look at her unconstitutional ideals in Florida and the ones she may try to push forward within the next couple years. Okay, yeah. I don't like her. I don't trust her. I think she is a neocon. Okay, because you know what her buddy was before Trump became president in 2016. She was backing Jeb Bush. Yeah, the neocon. She's always been a Bush buddy. Yeah. No pun intended. Bush buddy. But still, she is corrupt as hell. She is a globalist neocon piece of crap just like the Bushes, just like the Cheneys, just like the Clintons, you name them. All of them are in one club together. They're all in on it together. All
Yeah,
right.
unfortunately.
Like I always say, in the late George Carlin, you look up to the late George Carlin, a comedian. He's always said it best about what the politicians, who the real owners of the world are, and all that stuff. And you look at our two-party system, and you know what? If you're conservative, I'll tell you what, you don't have to be a Republican to be a conservative, folks. So conservatism is not only an ideal, not only an ideology, not only a philosophy, but it's a value system. Being a conservative is an American value system, a traditional value system. Okay, sure, if you're conservative, you're going to vote Republican most of the time. You're never really going to vote Democrat at all, because these people, we used to have back in the day moderate conservative Democrats, but no more now. They're all whack job, radical leftists, communists, all right, globalists. So you can't ever fathom voting for one of these nimrods, all right? So yeah, you're forced to basically have a choice that really you don't have no choice, because you're going to vote Republican, even if you say they're weak too, all right? So I'm not a Republican, all right? I am a registered no party. I'll never be a Democrat. I'll never be a liberal. I am a conservative. I'm a constitutional conservative patriot. But by all means, I am not a Republican, because there's too many neocons, too many rhinos out there, and they aren't representing we the people either, or we the conservatives.
Yeah.
Two wings of the same bird.
Yep.
That's what the party system is, folks. We need to stand up against these parties and say enough is enough. You're just marketing us and you're playing us.
Right. So let's round out the program here. I think that we spoke about one other thing about that little, spaceship that they're talking about.
Hey, NASA is a waste of money. NASA is a sham, folks. Now, you may disagree with me. You may disagree with my opinion on it. You may disagree with me with the moon landing and all that stuff. NASA's a sham. It's a big time sham. It's a big waste of government money, taxpayer funding money. Now NASA's coming out and saying we're all going to die again. We're all going to die because we're running out of oxygen. Really? No, we're not running out of oxygen, NASA. It's called trees. Okay, it's called shrubs. It's called greenery. It's called plants. Plants give off oxygen. Okay, they take in carbon dioxide. They take it in, and in return, they give us fresh oxygen. As long as we have trees on the earth and greenery and shrubbery and the hemp plant provides more oxygen than trees. As long as we have all that stuff, folks, we're not running out of oxygen. So they're the biggest bunch of lying sack of shitheads there is.
Them motherfuckers are spraying certain chemicals on the forestry, and that was the big thing about Nova Scotia, that they didn't want people there because they're spraying this stuff up there that actually is an accelerant.
Well, they're also starting fires purposely to push
That's
people.
what I'm talking about.
To push people out of the forestry, though. They want people to get into those 15-minute cities that they're plotting. They want everybody crammed into the cities. They don't want people living off the grid. And they don't want people living off the grid and finding out that their own government is the one starting these fires purposely.
Yeah.
And that's the fact right there. That's the truth of the matter. They could spray all they want. It might kill off some of the vegetation, some of the trees and stuff, but we're still going to have oxygen. We're not running out of oxygen. They just want to push this, we're going to live on Mars crap. Okay?
Well, not only that, Tig, but they're saying that, there's this big vessel that's approaching Earth. And it's going to be here in November.
We're getting invaded.
Then, they showed this picture, and it had all these lights and these windows and shit, and it looked like a big Winnebago. And I made shit out of it. I go, yeah, Mother Winnebago's coming looking for her babies.
Blue Beam Project is what it's called. They're going to make us think we're being invaded. They're going to make us think we're being invaded.
So
What a
one
crap.
other topic I want to talk about before we close out here. I know we're like a minute 15 and it'll just be a couple more minutes here, but I was looking at our some of the states that we just brought on as listeners.
Mm-hmm.
I sent you that little map,
It's
remember?
nice that we're expanding.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of give a shout out to a few states that I thought were really interesting, like Maine. We
Yeah.
got 4 listeners over there that are like, they're pretty solid. They're like listening to us constantly. So I
And
hey
we love
guys,
those. We love those listeners. We'll
yep,
take them.
keep listening, keep
Yeah.
listening. And we gained some more over in Florida as well. We got some in let's see. Oh, Ohio. We picked up some Ohio. Yeah. We picked up some in Carolinas.
Carolina, north and south.
Just north.
Just north. Okay.
Yeah, and then we got some over in. Well, we got some in Pennsylvania. It looks like we got a couple there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and we had a ton up in Wisconsin, which is kind of a new. I mean, we've had a few there, but we picked up quite a bit up in Wisconsin.
Picked up the numbers. So. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
we aren't getting too much on the west yet, but you know.
In fact, that's kind of concerning. You know, we don't have nothing over in California, so I hope we could get some people in California listening to us and getting educated from the Sigmeister.
Or maybe you'll just listen to us to see what we're going to say next because you love to hate us.
Yeah. Oh, hey, and I also want to give a shout out to the Australians that are listening to us.
Oh, down under, huh?
Down under, we've gained some popularity down there. So, and there's like a bunch from down in Australia listening to us. It's not just a couple. It's like, a good
handful. That's interesting. Like I wonder if they were previously living in the States and then they went down to live in Australia and they wanted to listen to us. I don't know. Or if they're, and that's interesting. I wonder if they're actually all native born Australian. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. Just, just a little breakdown of who's listening to us and where.
I'd love to get some European listeners.
Yeah, we do have a few of those. Yeah, we got some over and
love to get
we caught up on Ireland on our last episode.
Yeah. We did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye. Yeah. I would like to get some Russian listeners too.
Yeah.
I got something I would love to talk to them. Because there's so much to talk about. I'd love to talk to Russia, especially on their I would like to get their feedback too. I'd love them to listen to us and then give the feedback on what's going on over there and stuff too, and how they feel compared to how we feel and see if we have any similar thoughts,
Yeah. And, just one thing, the people who are starting to listen to us, share us with your friends, tell your friends about us and let them know that, hey, these guys make sense. And, maybe some of the stuff that Tig's talking about is a little tinfoilish, but
oh, well,
but at least, hey, we're talking about cigars. So we're kind of common ground there. So
if it's tinfoilish, just keep watching, keep listening. Remember who you heard it from. And if it comes to light and it becomes reality and you've done your research and went down the rabbit hole and you find out that, hey, he's right. Remember who you got it from.
Yep.
So
check us out on our website, our new website, starsbarsandcigars.live. There you can find all of our episodes, and you can also follow, different platforms on there as well, like, Podchaser, Podbean, Rumble, of course, where you're watching us now, or maybe over on YouTube or Twitch. So check us out. And also on iHeartMedia, they're actually like our number one, audio source. So we can also be found on Alexa. Just ask her about the latest episode of Stars, Bars, and Cigars. And I guess, is there anything else, Tig?
That's about it. If you aren't, if you aren't a little suspicious or a little paranoid, then you are not prepared.
Hey, my doctor asked if anyone in the family was suffering from mental illness. I said no. We're all seem to enjoy it.
No
So that's my
surprise.
parting words.
All right. Those are great parting words.
Yes. See you next Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And with that, adios, amigos.
You've been listening to Stars, Bars,
All right.